Right folks, and welcome to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the basics for home recording. So check this out. So yeah, this has been requested by a viewer of mine. At the minute he has got his own YouTube channel, and at the minute he's recording both video and audio onto his phone, and he was wanting to know how to record onto a PC, or sort of home recording if you will. So I said, yeah, no problem, I can help you with that. I said, rather than going backwards and forwards on an email, I said, I'll do it as a video. What I thought is we'll sort of break it down a little bit. In this video it's just going to be sort of an overview, just sort of the basics that you need just to get up and running. And then what we'll do, or sorry, what I'll do is in subsequent videos we'll have a bit more one of them. We'll have a bit more of a deep dive down into each little section. But these videos are, like I say, for the beginners, people that are just starting in home recording or wanting to get started into home recording. The sort of basics of what you'll need to get yourself up and running. So let's start off. So to start off with, I'll say this here and now, you don't need to go out and buy a ton of expensive gear. It's not all about so-called high-end gear that you need, or that some people say that you need. Sort of cheaper, more budget-friendly options will get the job done. And I'm a big advocate of that, as you know. You don't always need to spend a lot of money to get a decent sound or get decent quality recordings. Don't start off with, if you've not got a PC, you're gonna need some sort of a PC or a Mac or something, some sort of PC, some sort of home computer, and you don't need the latest spec computer at all. I mean, I know people that are still using old MacBooks from sort of 10 years old for still doing professional recordings, and other people are still using 7-year-old PCs. My PC, that's 2 years old, so it's not exactly the top spec, but I'll put a picture up here of the specs on my PC. So what I would say is, yeah, need some sort of half-decent processor, decent amount of hard drive space for getting all your software on there. But even if you've not got a huge amount of inbuilt hard drive space, you can always get external hard drives. Now, memory wise, 4 meg will do you, but I would recommend going for at least 8 meg. So I've got 16 meg, but I do use this for video editing as well. But yeah, 4 will do you, but I would recommend going for 8 meg at least, and 16 if you can afford it. But processor wise, you don't need the sort of super duper latest, is it i7 and i9 processors. Sort of any decent PC, any decent processor that's been made in the last sort of 3 or 4 years will do the job. So the next thing you're going to need is an audio interface, or they're also known as sound cards. Now, there's an absolute ton of audio interfaces out there, and same with a lot of things, you don't need to spend a lot of money on an audio interface. I mean, Behringer do one for £50 or £60 roughly, but there's plenty of options out there. There's Behringer's, there's the ProSonus one I've got, there's Focusrite, etc, etc. There's an absolute ton out there. And for people like me that's just sort of recording 1 or 2 things at a time, all you'll need is a basic 2-channel interface. You might be able to get away with a 1-channel interface, but yeah, 1 and 2-channel interfaces, they're not expensive, especially if you're just recording guitars, bass and vocals at home. If you're recording something like an acoustic drum kit, then yeah, you will need a bigger interface, or an 8-channel interface. But for just basic home recording, all you need is 2-channel interface, and all the modern ones have got connections on there on the front for both XLR for microphones and jack inputs for your guitars. All of them, or I would say all of them these days, have got headphone outputs, and all of them have got outputs for studio monitors, or monitor speakers if you will. and yeah, the one I've got has got MIDI inputs and outputs, and there'll be some B-roll up here showing you all the way around the audio interface. But all the preamps in the modern day interfaces, they're all much of a much these days. Some are a little bit better than the others, but in general, most preamps in the audio interfaces are transparent, so you don't need to spend a ton of cash on an audio interface either. And then after that, you're gonna need some sort of one of them. You're gonna need some sort of software, some sort of recording software known as a DAW. Get my words out, or a DAW, and that stands for Digital Audio Workstation. So basically, in layman's terms, it's basically a studio on your computer. It's the console, and if you think back to the good old days of analog consoles, it's the console and the tape machine all in one on your PC. And again, there's an absolute ton of options out there. I mean, I use Studio One, but there's Reaper, Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, Ableton Live, Harrison Mixbus, and many more. And it's not of a case of this. To me, there's not which is the best DAW, it's which is the best for you. They're all much of a much. They'll all get the job done. I mean, Studio One, there is a free version, but there is quite a number of limitations on there. There's a free version, and then there's what they call the artist version, which still has some limitations. I've got the full Pro version, so there's no limitations on there. But that one, that if you're starting off, can be quite expensive. But then you've also got Reaper, which is free, if I remember rightly, for 60 days, and then you can buy a license. I think it's for $60, if I remember rightly. I'm sure it's around about somebody will be able to tell me in the comments. Some of the Reaper users out there, because there's an absolute ton of people that use Reaper. Now, I've heard that Pro Tools is quite expensive. I've no idea about Cubase and Logic, Harrison Mixbus, or any of them, because I've never looked into them. I've never had to. I've used Studio One since I started doing all this, and I've been happy with it. And at this moment in time, I don't feel the need to change that. I'm happy with it. Gets the job done for me. I wouldn't say there's one best DAW out there. They've all got the little things. So some do some things better than others. Yada yada yada. But whichever one you choose will get the job done. And then after you've got your DAW, this is when the fun starts. Now, with what way or what direction you're going to go for, we'll start off with guitars first, since I'm a guitar player. Which direction you're going to go? Are you going to go down the route of just using amp sims and plugging your guitar directly into your audio interface? There's a ton of absolute amazing amp sims out there. For starting off, there's an absolute ton of free and less expensive, shall we say, budget friendly amp sims out there. Some of them you will require external IRs. Some of them don't come with IRs, sort of like the Ninja and the Nail-X Ninja, the Ignite Emissary, but you can get the Nade IR, and that does come with some IRs built in for the Emissary, or they've added Theremin stuff. That's also ones that you'll need to get external IRs for, but you can get some free and budget-friendly IRs out there as well. So I suppose you can class these as amp sims as well, but the amp modelers out there, sort of going from the cheaper versions like this, the sort of Harley Benton DNA FX I've got, or the Moa G150 and the 200 or 250. So starting off from those, and then you've got your Headrush, your Helix, all the versions of the Headrush and the Helix, Kempers, what's the other one? The Axe FX. there's many others out there. I suppose you could class them as amp sims as well, if you will. But yeah, those sort of amp modeler type things, all of them, you can plug them directly into your audio interface as well. You don't need any external amps, but you can use external amps if you will with those. But yeah, that's another option for you. And then next, it's recording with real amps and cabs. Now, if you're going to be recording with real amps and cabs, one thing that you're going to definitely need is one of these, is a microphone. So a lot of the recordings that you hear on the channel are done with one of these, the good old Shure SM57. That's a good starting point. Now, there's plenty of these about. What are these? I think these are about £90, £100, brand new. But second hand, you can pick these up for about half of that price. Behringer do or are about to release their own version of the 57. There's a company called Gear for Music. They've got their own version of the SM57, and I think Thomann do one as well. So yeah, there's plenty of options. Those sort of the Gear for Music, the Behringer, and the Thomann one. I think they're between the sort of £20 to £30 mark, so they're not expensive. That's one option. Another option is this one I've used a few times on miking cabs up, is my Behringer XM8500. Yeah, it's more of a vocal mic, if you will. It's based on the SM58, but it's good enough for miking a cab up. I have got these from Tortext. Now, I've only used it for recording voice on my videos for the last couple of weeks. I've not used it on miking a cab up just yet. I'm going to do another video as soon as I finish this one, and I might try out on that video. We'll see. I might just test it out and then see what it sounds like compared to the 57. But yeah, there's plenty of different mics out there, going from the sort of less expensive sort of £20 to £30 mark, and then you can pay absolutely silly money. Yeah, anywhere between sort of £20 to £100 mark. Any of them mics will get the job done. And the other thing you'll need with the mic is some sort of mic stand. So if you're like me and you're just using a 1x12, one of these little tabletop mic stands will do you. Or even a mic stand that they use for kick drums. One of those little sort of smallish, any sort of small mic stand will do you with that. Even on this sort of 2x12, the horizontal 2x12s, one of them will be good enough. And even on a 4x12, depending on what speaker you're going to use, if you're going to use one of the ones on the floor, then that'll do you. But if you're using sort of a 4x12 or a vertical 2x12, then you're going to need a bigger boom mic stand, and those are expensive. You can pick one of those up second hand. You should be able to pick one up for £10 to £15, maybe a little bit more, and sort of £25 to £30 brand new. Shop around, you might be able to get a little bit cheaper, but yeah, you'll need a mic stand to hold your microphone in front of your cab. So after guitars, we'll move on to bass. Now, it's basically the exact same for bass. So if you want to plug your bass directly into your audio interface and use bass amp sims, there's an absolute ton out there. And the TSC Bass Overdrive, the SHP, is it the SHP 101? SHP-1, that's the one. They're free, and they're well worth a look. There's plenty of inexpensive bass amp sims out there. It's the same again if you want to use a bass amp and a cab, you're going to have to mic it up, so that's going to be the same situation. And is there any bass multi effects out? I know the Kemper's got, you can load some bass amps into Kempers and stuff. I need to have a look at Headrush and Helix, but I think they've got some bass stuff built in, but I need to check on that one. But also, if you're not wanting to record bass yourself, you've got programs like, I think it's Easy Bass, and I think it's called Euro Bass, the other one. I think that's the other major one. I've never tried them out, but yeah, I may have a look into it, but I don't think it'd be something that I'd ever use. I'd rather just play bass myself and use my own crappy bass lines. So then after that, then we're going to be looking at some sort of drum software. Now, if you're a drummer and you're using acoustic drums, then fair enough. But then again, some drummers are going to be using electronic drum pads. They're going to need some sort of drum software, even whether it's a full sort of electronic kit or the sort of MIDI pads. I've got a MIDI pad at the minute that I'm learning how to use, and I will do a video on that. God knows when. It's getting time to get used to some things and planning these things out. But yeah, you're going to need some sort of drum software. Now, same again, there's an absolute plethora of options out there, going from free all the way up to how much? But I would say most DAWs do come with some sort of MIDI trigger program. Studio One comes with one called Impact XT, and I would say most other DAWs do come with one. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on that, because obviously I've never had to look into other DAWs and see what they've got, but the sort of drum software that you've got out there, for free ones, you've got MT Power Drums 2. That's one of the first ones I started off with. So you've got the MT Power Drums. Stephen Slate Drums comes with a free and a paid version. You've got all the stuff from the guys over at Ugriton. That stuff's fantastic. But if you're wanting more of a polished sound, you're not really wanting to do any mixing, then you've got stuff like Get Good Drums, Easy Drummer, Drum Forge, which is another one I've got that I do use every now and again. And there's many others, and then you can also get other some of them as well. And then there's other drum samples that you can get to include with those programs. So the stuff from Panda, from the guys over at Panda, I've got some of their samples, and they're absolutely fantastic. I need to do a video on the Panda stuff. I've got some of the samples from Bobby Torres and Jordan Valentine. They've done some free samples, and I think I've got the free ones that Glenn Fricker did a while back, but I've not had a chance to get around to using those. But yeah, you can use any of those with any of the sort of trigger programs. Now, obviously, if you're going to be wanting to do any vocals, obviously you're going to need a microphone. Now, if you've got a microphone for your guitar or bass cab, you can use the exact same microphone for your vocals. I know a lot of people that use the SM57 for vocals. I've not tried these out for actual vocals yet, but yeah, I would say they'll be good enough for vocals as well. I've used the Behringer XM8500 on vocals a couple of times, and this is one I've used quite a lot as well. The Presonus condenser mic that I've got. But yeah, same again, there's any microphone will do you for vocals. And same again, if you're doing vocals or you're recording vocals, then obviously you're going to need some sort of mic stand, either one of the two that I've already shown, or one of these sort of desktop clamp mics. Any of them are good enough. And also, if you're recording vocals, you'll need one of these, some sort of pop filter, so the some of them, and take away some of the harshness and some of the pigs. And then, do you really need any studio monitors? I would say to start off with, no. Yeah, you'll need some sort of headphones, and yeah, I've got these Presonus ones. They came with the audio interface. It came as a kit. I've got the headphones, the audio interface and the microphone. It all came as a kit with the basic version, or the basic artist version of Studio One. I've had these for almost 3 years now. I'm happy with them. It's the same again. Do you really need to spend a lot of money on headphones? Not necessarily. I'd get a decent pair of headphones. I'd go for some close back ones to start off with. I mean, I still use these for tracking and just checking mixers, just checking the low end on the mixers. Obviously, this is not a perfectly treated room for doing mixers in. But yeah, do you need studio monitors when you're starting off? No. And then if you wanted to do any mixing, what I would say to start off with is get used to the mixing tools that's built into your DAW before you start spending any money on any other plugins from either Waves or Plugin Alliance or any of those places. Get used to what the sort of EQs, compressors, delays, all that sort of thing. Get used to the tools that come in the box. Get used to those first, because there's a lot of times I still use the inbuilt EQs and compressor within Studio One. They're pretty damn powerful. They're good enough to get the job done. Yeah, the better ones out there, yeah, but the ones inbuilt into any DAW are good enough, and especially when you're first starting off. That's if you wanted to get into mixing. If you're not wanting to get into mixing, then you don't really need to worry about that. If it's just, I just want to do some home recording and I either just want to put it out on YouTube, or I'll record the stuff at home and then I'll send it out to, say, somebody like me to mix a track for you. Then you don't need to worry about any of those tools. So yeah, there you go. That's sort of basic overview of what you need to get yourself up and running for home recording. And as I say, I'll do more videos sort of looking more deeper into each of these subjects. I might do, whether I'll do one just on amp sims or say amp sims and modelers, and then maybe show you real guitars, etc, and then we'll have a look at some of the drum software and some of the bass software out there as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. That's all for this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Right folks, I hope you enjoyed that video. You can follow me on social media and you can get my music online, and if you want to support the channel, there's Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal links. They're all down in the description. Click up here to subscribe and click the link down there for videos that you may not have seen. Keep it loud and keep it heavy.